Here is a brief video review from Chapter 9 about information literacy. There are 3 steps in information literacy. Remember, information literacy is just a fancy phrase for how you use information. We're talking about it in terms of academics, for example, research papers, but you use information literacy every day in your life for information you need in your life. The first step is to find the information. The second step is evaluating the information. And the third step is communicating the information. To find the information academically, you will use HACS library resources, including books, journal articles, newspapers, and magazines. And remember, in our class with our research project in FS100, you will be using scholarly journal articles and websites, .edu and .gov. The second step, evaluating the information, has 4 parts. You need to look at the basic quality of the source. So, for example, again, with our project, you're using scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles from HACS library databases, so we can have some confidence that those articles have quality. And again, you're using .edu and .gov websites for FS100. So again, we know there is some basic quality because .gov and .edu must be registered, and not just anyone can create those sites. The second part is author credibility. Remember, Professor Valentine told us about authors for articles, excuse me, having lots of initials behind their name and being affiliated with universities and research institutions. So you need to see the author and look at the credibility. The third part is objectivity or bias, making sure that all sides of the issue are presented and that the author is not having a bias and trying to convince you of something. And finally, the fourth part of evaluating is currency, looking at the date. With websites, you should see the date somewhere usually near the bottom, and the website, to be quality, should have been updated within the last year. For journal articles, Professor Valentine recommended that we don't go back more than 10 years, but if you are researching something about technology or popular culture, you wouldn't want to go back more than 5 years. So currency is looking at the date. And then finally, communicating the information. Again, for our purposes, we're talking about research papers, but you could also be using the communication for a video or a presentation. So the third step is communicating, and you just have to think of what is the form I'm communicating, whether that's a writing piece, a research paper, a presentation, or a video, or any way that you are presenting the information. Now, Professor Valentine also showed us information about citing sources in our LibGuide. So please do use those resources so that you cannot be accused of plagiarism. Most students I know did not intentionally plagiarize. They just didn't realize they weren't citing their sources correctly. So remember, in our LibGuide, there is a tab for citing sources, and we are using MLA in FS100.